Hi everyone, welcome back to BU Project. We are so excited to have you back for another episode on our podcast. Now, hopefully you've been enjoying the last few episodes. We went back in time, which I actually really love. So we looked at previous interviews that we've done before, and we looked at ones that we've done with the founder of Be Hers, which is a charity that helps raise awareness and dollars for trafficking. And we also went and we talked to Chocho Brereton, who has written a children's book, and how she went from being a scientist to a writer, which is so different from each other, but so cool, right? So if you haven't listened to them, then please go back and listen to them because they're so inspiring. And this is what we're all about. BU is here to inspire you and encourage you to follow the call of God on your life and to not let things hold us back, especially as women, whether that's a mindset thing, whether it's shame or guilt, whether it's feeling unqualified, where it's feeling like we don't have time, we're burnt out, whatever it is, the call of God is so important to pursue. And what's great about the call of God is that it's different for each one of us. Yes, some of us are going to be called to start businesses. Some of us are going to be called to start not-for-profits. And some of us are going to be called to motherhood and to being an incredible mother to our children and raising them to become the best people that they can be. Some of us are called to become teachers that can just equip children to know who they are and to believe in themselves. You know, I often think about the role of a teacher or a mother or a parent, and I'm not yet a parent. And Jake and I believe that that will happen one day, God willing for us. But in the meantime, I've observed that there is so much power in the role of being a teacher or a parent, where that teacher gets to help that child see who they are. I've heard stories where teachers have just put down kids, and that's stayed with them. That the thought, whatever the teacher has said, has stuck with that child up until even into adulthood, and that's the power that teachers and parents have of really helping your child believe in who they are and feel empowered to live the best life they can, and to know that when the things are spoken over them, like they're not good enough or they'll never make it or their dreams are rubbish or they're dumb, whatever's been spoken over them, your words can flip that. And that's the power of words, and that's the power of our actions, is that we have the ability to flip the things, the lies of the enemy, the things that are untrue on other people and ourselves as well. So anyways, that's why we're here. BU is here to empower women to live out the calling that God has for them. And today I want to talk about time, because time is valuable and time is so important. Sorry, I just had an email come through. Time is valuable. And we all know that time just goes like that, right? We are in March of 2024. And it felt like yesterday when we were in 2023, going through the year, whatever that year looked like for you. Maybe it was a great year, maybe it was one of the most toughest years, or maybe it was just another tough year post 2020 when the world changed. But time is so important. And I don't know about you, but I often find that I can waste a lot of time. I find that I can give my time away to things that actually don't matter. Have you ever felt that, where you have given your time away and you realize that you've spent X amount of time on this thing, and just how bad you feel and just how guilty you feel after, and that the thing that you spent so much time on wasn't actually the thing you wanted to spend time on. And so we get caught in this circle and we go through it every day, especially if we're feeling tired or stressed or anxious, or we don't know how we should be spending our time. I've had days off where I feel like I don't even know what to do with my time. And so, and I have a huge to-do list. And sometimes with my days off, I'll end the day and I'll be like, what did I even do today? And yes, it was meant to be a time of rest, but I don't even know if I did the things that actually brought me rest. So, time. I love this saying that I came across: we all have the same time budget. So, what does that mean? Now, we all have different financial budgets. We all have different amounts of income coming in. We all make different amounts of money, but we all have the exact same time budget. There is not one person that has more time than you and me. I don't have more time than you. You don't have more time than me. It's exactly the same. So, what does that mean? It means that each one of us is given 24 hours in one day. We all have 7 days in a week, which means we all have 8,760 hours in a year, and we all have 365 days and 12 months. And when it's a leap year, we have 366 days. So we've all got the same time budget. Now, we all have different life expectancies. This is a little bit, feels a little bit like negative, but it's true. We all have different life expectancies. I live in Australia, and the average life expectancy for a male is 81 years, and for a female, it's 85 years. So, wherever you are, wherever you live, maybe look it up. What is the average life expectancy? Now, that helps to bring into context how much time we actually have left. I feel like sometimes we think we've got heaps and heaps and heaps of time, but with the rate that time is going, we don't. Now, that's not to put fear into us, and that's not meant to make us feel bad. It's just, I think it's just a way to help us wake up a little bit and help us realize that we all have the same time budget, and we all are getting older. That's life. We're all getting older, and we don't know what tomorrow brings, but we have the beautiful gift of life, and we get to live it today, and hopefully we get to live it tomorrow, and hopefully we get to live it the following day and the following day. And as we live it out, then we get to live out the dreams that God has given us. We get to live out the promises that He's placed in our hearts. We get to see miracles. We get to see breakthroughs. We get to experience love in all kinds of forms. We get to experience joy and happiness. And on the flip side, we also experience heartbreak and sadness and grief and pain and heartache and all those things that happens in our lives. But I want to specifically focus on procrastination. Now, this is something I truly struggle with all the time, and it might be something that you struggle with. And if you don't, then tell me your secrets because I want to know. But procrastination is something that we actually, most of us do struggle with. And so, how do we manage procrastination if we all have the same time budget? How do we live a life where if we go, gosh, I don't have enough time in the day, but then we look at other people and go, they've created multi-million dollar businesses with the same time budget. How does that work? Now, procrastination, I feel, plays a big role in definitely how we spend our time and what we achieve. And so I think the reason, well, there's a lot of research behind procrastination. So I'm going to take you through the research and then I'll take you through my thoughts on it, okay? So, and I want you to think about too, if you procrastinate and when do you procrastinate and how do you feel when you're procrastinating? Because this is going to be really important. So we procrastinate for a few reasons. So the word procrastination comes from a Latin verb, and I'm going to say this wrong because I really struggle to say words. Procrastinate, I think that's how you say it, which means we put it off until tomorrow. Yes? Oh, that's too hard. I'm going to put it off until tomorrow. Now, there's a professor at the University of Calgary, Dr. Piers Steele, and he believes that procrastination is actually a form of self-harm. I never knew that. It's a form of self-harm. And it's part of the reason we feel bad when we procrastinate, because we're aware that what we're doing is bad, but we procrastinate anyways. So when we procrastinate, it can be because we feel that the task is boring or it's not challenging enough, or it feels too difficult. Sometimes we procrastinate because it feels unpleasant, like cleaning, like, oh goodness, I've got to clean the whole house and I really don't want to. So I'll spend 2 hours watching Netflix instead of cleaning. Sometimes we can procrastinate if we don't feel worthy. So if we've got a task, maybe this is particularly to do with work or even pursuing a dream or a goal, sometimes we feel that um, I don't actually feel good enough, so I'm going to put it off until tomorrow. And so a lot of the times, procrastination is linked to our emotional, how we're feeling emotionally. And there's another professor in Carleton University, and he says that procrastination is to do with an emotion regulation problem. And so, what he's saying is, in order to avert the negative mood for the short term, we end up sacrificing long term goals. So, our brain is actually wired to favor short term needs. Oh my goodness, this makes so much sense. Like, I've got a report to write for work. Uh, I'll rather do this fun task like building a dashboard, which I really enjoy doing, or um, I'll reply to all my emails instead of tackling this huge report that I've got to do, because my brain is looking for the easy way out. It's looking for the quick fix. It's looking for what's going to be the least resistant, what's going to cause the least pain, the least amount of effort. What is the thing that is going to make me the least uncomfortable, and I'm going to do that. So when we recognize that tasks are stressful, or then the flight or fight response, we see it as a threat and means that we're going to choose something over that task that's going to cause us stress. So it's really how we're wired, and it's got a lot to do with our emotions as well. Isn't that crazy? So let me talk about when I procrastinate, because I wonder if a lot of you are going to relate to this. So most of the time, I procrastinate when I'm tired. Okay, if I haven't had a good night's sleep, or I've had a lot of nights where I've just slept less than the recommended amount, which is 7 to 8 hours, and I would say 8 hours, then I'm going to struggle to be able to really concentrate and to be able to get into those tasks that I find really difficult. So I procrastinate when I'm tired. I procrastinate when I don't know how to complete a task or where to start. So again, I've got this huge report to do. I actually have a report due for work. So I have I have a 9 to 5 job as well. And I would sit there and I would be like, I do not know where to start with this task because it's so big. And so I will then procrastinate. And I will also procrastinate when I feel like I have too much to do. So again, I tend to have lists on different things. So I'll have a list on my phone. I'll have a list app on a work computer, and sometimes I will write it out. I also have a diary, which I really like. So sometimes all of that can be a little bit overwhelming, and so I'll tend to procrastinate because I'm like, it's just too much. There's just too much to do. And then I'll procrastinate if I'm feeling overwhelmed, or stressed or anxious. Do you relate to any of those? It's so interesting, right? That we actually think that procrastination is a form of laziness, when actually it's got more to do with how our emotions are being regulated and how we view the task. Wow. Okay. So then I'm looking at the flip side. So when I actually do this task, or when I achieve what I want to achieve, how do I actually feel? So when I procrastinate, I feel guilty, I feel bad, I feel like I've wasted time. I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm a bit of a failure because I haven't done the thing that I really needed to do. I'm worried now because I'm not going to meet deadline, or so whatever. All of these things. Usually it's negative when I procrastinate. Okay, what happens when I actually achieve the task? So usually I feel accomplished, I feel happy and satisfied, and I feel relieved that it is done. Ooh, I feel so much lighter when I've done it, rather than I feel so heavy because I've procrastinated and I haven't done what I really wanted to do. And this just doesn't relate to work. I'm probably more coming from a point of achieving our goals. And yes, you can apply this to work, because that report, the report example I've shared is from my other job. But I also think that we can procrastinate too when it comes to our dreams and our goals. And definitely, if you're working as well and then you're pursuing your dreams and goals maybe on the side, I feel like procrastination can really stop us from taking that next step forward. Okay, so I've already talked about how I feel when I do the things that I need to do and how I feel when I don't do the things. And the other thing I'd add to that as well is I'll feel disappointed in myself if I've allowed procrastination to happen and I've not achieved what I've needed to achieve. And then also I feel like it's taking me further away from my dreams and my goals. And I don't want to live like that. I don't know if you do, but I don't want to live like that. Okay, so what do we do to overcome procrastination? There are a lot of things out there, and you can research this for yourself. There is a lot of helpful tips, helpful articles, and really good research that's been done out there. So if you want to do that, do that. But I just want to share a few things that I believe will help us overcome our procrastination. So I've actually drawn, and I can put this, and you can't really see it, and excuse my nails, I need to get them done. I've actually drawn, this is why I procrastinate, bored, not feeling good, don't know how to do it, and so forth. So I can put that, if you want to see an image of that, I can definitely share that. But I also then have another diagram that I can show a bit later on of unpacking a task, which I will get to in a second. But these are some things that I believe that can really help us overcome procrastination. I think procrastinating has no benefit. It's not going to benefit us to do the things that we do really want to do and need to do. So I think there'll be days where we just will just do it, right? There'll be days where we are tired, we're bored or overwhelmed, and it's just going to happen. I think the key to that, if that does happen, and it probably will, is to not beat yourself up about it, okay? It's to not put yourself down because that's going to make it worse. So we need to be kind to ourselves. That's one of the things we can do. Be kind to ourselves, and forgive ourselves if we need to. I know that sounds weird, and forgiveness is a whole other topic that we can talk about. But I just think that sometimes we do. We just have to forgive ourselves and go, yep, I wasted 5 hours today when I could have really done this. I forgive myself for wasting that 5 hours. And I think that just allows us to take the guilt and the shame and the condemnation out of the picture and help us to actually move forward and not keep us in that same place. All right. So there's a few things that I want to take you through to help us overcome procrastination. And the first one is to have clarity. So a few ways we can do this is the day before, write your to-do list. Actually write out, so at the end of the day, write out what it is you want to achieve in the next day. And I would really limit that to-do list to maybe 5 things, because when you have a list of 10 or 20 items, it's overwhelming and it's way too much. And I don't know about you, but one thing I do is I don't necessarily calculate enough time to get through the tasks that I need to. So sometimes we think a task will take 20 minutes when actually it will take 40 minutes. And then we haven't put buffers into our timeline. And then we've only achieved 5 things out of the 20 things. And then we feel bad. And all that kind of emotional guilt and shame will happen. So I would say limit it to 5 things. And then when you've ticked off things, then you can add to your list. So you might have, sorry, I keep having notifications pop up. You might have a master list, and then you take from that master list 5 things for the day, and then you can add to that. But I really want to keep it small and achievable. And then the morning of, review your to-do list. So the list you wrote the day before, check it in the morning. What happens if you don't know what you're doing for the day? Then you're like, where do I start? And then you might end up doing things that really doesn't matter. So we want to get really clear and have clarity on what we're doing. So do your to-do list the night before and review it the morning of, just to make sure that you are very clear on what you're going to be doing that day. And then add breaks between tasks. So again, most of the time we underestimate how long something's going to take. And then add breaks. Don't go straight into the next task, because Your mind will need a break. And this is a great time to make yourself a cuppa or a snack or go for a walk or check your emails or do something like take a break from the task. That's number one, get clarity. Number two is get enough sleep. Now, this may seem funny to you, but I'm really big on getting enough sleep. Why? Because I have suffered. I for I was really good at getting enough sleep until a couple of years ago, where things changed in my life and I just wasn't getting the same amount of sleep, and that has impacted me so much. And you may understand what I'm talking about, but I've just felt like I don't have energy. I felt like I don't get through the things that I really need to. I procrastinate. uh, it impacts my eating, impacts my moods. Lack of sleep has impacted my life so badly that I'm so aware now that sleep is so important. And so get enough sleep, take care of your well-being, get the 8 hours if you can. I know that's hard for mums. I hear you. And so do what you can. And um, there's sometimes there's just a period of time where you're just not going to get enough sleep. I get that. That's tough. But where you can get sleep, eat right. What you put into your body matters so much. And I'm a big believer that what we eat impacts our concentration, impacts how we feel. And I think how we feel, our emotions can and really impact how productive we are. If we're feeling terrible about ourselves, if we're not feeling good, if we're feeling tired, we're going to act and move a lot slower than we would if we were feeling good, if we're actually have the energy, um, and contribute to a healthy mind. So, really take a check on your mind. How is your mind? Is it in a good place or a bad place? And if it's not in the best place that it can be, what can you do about it to change that? Because your mind impacts so much of what you do with your time. Because if you don't see value in yourself, then you're not going to do things that's going to follow your dreams. If you don't like yourself, then you're not going to want to exercise and take care of yourself. If you don't like yourself, you're not going to want to do things that's going to help you live the life that you've dreamed of. So take care of you. You're important. Your body's important. Your mind's important. Your emotions are important. Okay, number three, which is a good word segue. Deal with your emotions. Generally, if I'm procrastinating, there is a reason I'm procrastinating. So I'm going to unpack that. Okay, I'm procrastinating right now. Why? Why? What am I feeling? Okay, I'm feeling anxious. Okay, why? What's triggered my anxiety? Unpack that, sit in it. And you know what's going to be so hard is that it's going to be uncomfortable to sit in our emotions. But often when you sit in it, then it's more you're able to get to the root cause of what's triggering these emotions, and then you're in a better place to process them. Now, it might be a thing to process later on. So it might be anxiety. Now, you might not fix the anxiety right there and then, but maybe it's something that you can look at later on, work through it, maybe with a counselor or, with God. God is the best counselor that we can have. The key is to really understand what is causing this procrastination and what can I do about it. And then again, being kind to yourself. It's really important. And then number four is unpack large, complex tasks. So break them into smaller steps. So again, I've got this report that I need to do. Where do I start? Okay, I know I'm going to need it in a certain format. I know I'm going to need data and information for it. I know I'm going to need to create some drafts and timelines. I know I might need to talk to some people. But where do I start? Do I talk to people first? Do I create a timeline first? Do I get the data first? Break it into smaller steps so that you actually know what to do. Um, and I just wanted to take you through an example of what I did. And so this may not be helpful, or this may be helpful, and you may not be able to see it. And again, apologize for my nails. Okay, so I've got this report, and I can share this example because it might be hard to read. But I've got this report. So this report I need to do includes um, creating a strategy for the next 12 months and then also reviewing the last 12 months. So this is my report. So what I've said is, firstly, I need to complete the review of the last year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to collate all the learnings that I've received from some of our key activities. And we already have, so we have KPIs that we work towards. And so we already have data for that. So I can pull that all together. And I can pull that all together into I'm going to use PowerPoint because that's what I use. So I'm going to put that all together in a PowerPoint slide. I already have templates that I can work from. And then I'm going to also add in what worked well, what we need to stop doing, and what we need to start doing. So that's going to help me complete my review of the last 12 months. Now, I may need to add another step to talk to people if I have gaps or missing information. Okay, so I might want to break this down even more as well, but for now, that's okay. I know where to start with that. And then I want to, we need to release this strategy in the next month. So what I might do is, and some of these steps, I wrote this really quickly. I might rearrange some of these steps, but at least it's kind of broken it down for me. What I want to do is actually present a proposal of how to release this to staff, and I'm going to present this to the leadership team. And then I'm going to work with the leadership team to delegate roles because I want to do this all together and then work out a plan and finalize that plan with the leadership team. What I also want to do is finalize the slide deck for the next 12 months. Now, we already have all the information. What I want to do is just make sure that it's all up to date and it's final and it's got the review of the last 12 months. Then what I want to do is create a timeline for the next 12 months. So I have the information now. I've got the information from the workshops we've already done, from the meetings we've already done for the planning. Now I'm going to put it into a timeline and work plan. So I'm going to list out all my key activities. I'm going to talk to staff and make sure that we've included everything. Work out planning days, work out who needs to be involved, work out who the people are that's leading, work out what resourcing is required, and I need to update my spreadsheet so it looks a little bit more prettier. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to create my reporting slide deck because now we need to report on the strategy for the next 12 months. So in that reporting slide deck is going to list out everything we're going to report on. It's going to list out links to reports that sit outside of the PowerPoint. And then I need to send it to my manager for review. And then from there, I'm going to add in key dates for the next 12 months so that we're all on the same page. We've got review dates in our calendar. And sorry, you can't see that very well. We've got planning dates for the next year and so forth. Now, you may think this is still too much. It's still a little bit unclear. So I might break this down even more. I use monday.com at work. So I'm going to break this down into more actionable steps, give myself timelines, and not try and do everything on one day because I can't do that. So I'm going to break this down over a couple of weeks and then bring in the right people that can help. I already feel clearer about this because I've broken down the steps from when I started before. So before I felt overwhelmed. I felt that, gosh, I've got this big report to do. I don't know where to start. Now that I've broken down the steps into like a workflow, I've got a starting place. And from there, I can build it out even more. So you may want to look at tools that can help you. I use reminders on my phone. I find that really helpful. You may want to use a program like monday.com or Trello. And also, you may want to look into some programs that can help automate some of your work as well. So that can reduce that admin time. But also just be aware that you don't want to get stuck into the world of technology and stuff. You want to make sure that you're getting work done. One thing that I forgot to mention before is one of the things that really makes my procrastination worse is distractions. And a big part of that is social media. And it was really interesting because I did some research and the typical internet user spends 2.5 hours every day on social media. In Australia, Australians spend 51 hours a month watching TV. So we may need to reevaluate where our time is going. You know, if we're having distractions as well, do we need to put our phone away while we're doing this task? Do we really want to spend time watching TV? Do we really want to spend hours and hours scrolling on social media? And so, with that first point I shared about clarity, when you have clarity of where you want to go and your goals, then it becomes much clearer the direction you're taking. When you don't have that clarity, then we end up doing things like scrolling on social media, or we end up watching 4 hours of Netflix. And sometimes we need that. I think sometimes there are days where you just need a next Netflix afternoon, or you just need to do something that's going to take your mind off things. But if it's happening all the time, then I'm going to say that you're not very clear on your goals and your vision, and it's not a priority to you. And the thing is, the question I would ask you and myself is, where do you want to be at the end of this year? Where do you want to be at the end of 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Because all of the things you're doing now, if you're spending hours on social media, if you're spending hours watching TV, if you're spending hours on the things that is not going to propel you into your purpose and your dreams, will you get there? And that's what I want to encourage each one of us, is that our time matters. We all have the same time budget. And I hope that these tips I shared, I hope they do help you. And the thing is, don't be hard on yourself. There's a reason why you're procrastinating. So take the time to unpack that. Why am I procrastinating? What is it that is stopping me from doing the things that I really should be doing? We're not going to achieve our goals without hard work, without discipline, without consistency. And it will pay off. I guarantee you, the consistency, the discipline, the hard work definitely pays off, but you need clarity. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to become? And when you can answer those questions clearly, then doing the things that seem really hard or scary or stressful, you actually have some motivation to do it because you know where you want to go and who you want to become. So that's my talk on procrastination. I hope you found this super helpful, and would love your thoughts. If you want to leave a comment, if you're watching this on YouTube, or you can find me on Instagram at b_u project, and let me know if this has been helpful. But girls, let's not procrastinate anymore. Let's get our hands dirty. Let's do the things that we want to do. Let's be fulfilled. Let's feel achieved. Let's feel good. And let's deal with the crap that is causing us to procrastinate. All right, it's been so great to be with you again. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.